Hello and welcome to Midwestern Kitchen. Today I'm going to be making pumpkin bars from scratch. Honestly, I don't like pumpkin pie at all. I used to eat it growing up because that's what everybody serves around Thanksgiving. We do have Thanksgiving coming up, and I actually have a girls get together tomorrow with the moms and daughters in my family. It's not too many of us, but it's a fun thing we do once a month to make sure we spend birthdays together, holidays together. It's actually a lot of fun. So we're getting together tomorrow for our Thanksgiving. So I've been tasked to bring dessert, and since I hate pumpkin pie, the only way I could choke it down growing up was putting so much Cool Whip on it that I could only taste pumpkin flavored Cool Whip. I do like pumpkin though, I just don't like pumpkin pie. So I am actually going to be making pumpkin bars from scratch with a cream cheese frosting. My husband and daughter actually really love it too, so it's what we have in our own Thanksgiving as well. I started out with some pumpkin puree. We are going to put this in the small bowl here. We're going to start putting our wet stuff in the small bowl, and then we'll use the big bowl for our dry stuff, and then we'll combine them. So I'm going to start with a smaller spatula. There we go, small spatula. And I'm going to combine the pumpkin puree, which, if you're not aware, actually, because I actually have puree often in my house because my husband doesn't only like this around Thanksgiving. We also give this to the dogs, so sometimes I'll get a bigger one because it's good for their stomachs, their gut health. Because if you haven't seen them in videos before, I have two corgis, the tan and white, and then I have a tricolor who's quite a bit smaller than my tan and white. Great milk. One's down here just watching me, hoping I drop some pumpkin because they love it. So I'm going to put that in there, and then I'm going to add in 4 eggs, which is exactly how much I have left in this thing I bought this morning, actually, because I needed to make some breakfast sandwiches. Oh, why, Amanda? Breakfast sandwiches ahead of time. So I made some freezer breakfast sandwiches this morning. Ooh. And this is what I have left for eggs. Is 4, which is exactly what I needed. 4 eggs, 1 15-ounce can of pumpkin puree. That's what's been put in there so far. That's 3 eggs, and then a 4th. And then because I legit hate yolk on my fingers, I'm gonna wipe them off real quick and get this out of my way. Okay, and then I'm going to get the hair out of my face. I am going to now add the sugar. It is 1 2/3 cup sugar. So just do 2/3 cup sugar. And then a cup. Seems like a lot of sugar. I do want to buy the sugar that's like sugar cane, the brown looking sugar that's not white, doesn't look bleached. But it's really expensive and kind of hard to find. So for now, we'll be using just normal sugar that I can find at the store. And then we need 1 cup oil. So the recipe calls for canola oil. I never have canola oil. I use vegetable oil, and it doesn't make any difference. Well, it might make a difference. I guess I've never had it with canola oil. But I love it with vegetable oil, so I don't feel like it should make much of a difference. So let's just do that. Keep that to the side because I'm probably going to still need my cup measuring. And then we are going to whip this and blend. Seeing it become fully blended, I'm just going to use my spatula and just get this off the sides. All that pumpkin-y goodness in there. I just want to stir it until it's fully combined and there's no oil still separating. Alright, so I had to take a longer break than I wanted to with switching up bowls. My baby woke up, so I had to go get her back to sleep. Not a big deal. My husband's up there now, so she should be fine. So in this separate bowl, I'm going to put in 2 cups of flour. Of course, I just got this bowl, this all wet. So I'm going to dry it with some paper towel so it doesn't stick to it. I also washed this while I was off screen, so it didn't have oil all in it because I only have one set. Those measuring cups. A really slow way to say that. So 2 cups of flour. One. I also have been trying to make a starter from scratch. Apparently my house is too cold, or it's not a skill I have, which is fine. I also just ordered a starter kit online with active starter because it is not working for me. I actually can see my light on my oven in the video, I think, and that is trying to keep my starter warm enough because my house is like 72 and we like it kind of chilly at night, so it's like in the 60s. So it doesn't get warm enough to actually make it peak or help it peak, which is incredibly irritating when you're trying to get it to peak. So I have my flour. I'm going to do 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. So this teaspoon is actually 2. So really, I'm not going to sprinkle it in, Amanda. Okay. Did it. I'm awesome. Amazing. Amazing. Apparently this is new. Sounds like my baby's awake again. Hopefully my husband can get back to sleep. Easy enough. That doesn't fit, so I'm just going to do it right over. 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. And then we are going to do 2 teaspoons of baking powder, which is this. Which actually, this is bioengineered. So I realized that a lot of the Walmart brand stuff is bioengineered, which is incredibly frustrating because I don't like buying bioengineered things. So I'll be using it for today's recipe, then probably throwing it away and buying almost any other brand. I don't know why, but Great Value seems to put a lot of stuff, or all of their stuff tends to have bioengineered products in it, which is annoying. And then we're going to do 1 teaspoon of baking powder. Nope, baking soda. Oh, ooh, but I mix them up. Just 1 of that. And then we are going to add 1 teaspoon of salt. Universal American junk drawer is always where tape is kept for some reason, at least for me in my house and in my house growing up. It's always where you can find the tape. 1 teaspoon salt. I use my Himalayan pink salt. I don't know that it's any better. Normally if I'm baking I actually use my white salt, but lately I've been using this salt a lot more. It's been working out. Sounds like my baby's still awake. Apparently she's mad that I'm not up there. That's fine. It's a long day. Alright, so now I'm going to just give this a little stir, and then I'm going to start adding in those ingredients. I'm actually going to probably put it here so you can see a little bit better. I'm going to turn it on just to get it moving, and then I'm going to pull in my wet ingredients, and I'm going to slowly add them as it stirs. So, I said slowly. I'm not slowly doing anything. I'm just adding them. All over the counter. Just gonna scrape it down, try to get all of it. I think pumpkin and cream cheese are a really good balance for each other. Personally, because I think pumpkin is such a strong flavor. That cream cheese cuts that and makes it a little bit more mild. My mother-in-law has always made like a pumpkin bread that is really good warm, and we would always stick it with butter on it. It was my first time ever having anything that I was like, oh, I can make something different with pumpkin for the holidays, and it still be on holiday, I guess, on brand, whatever you want to call it. Always sounds stupid what I think when people say on brand. I turn that up. It's not in the middle. Is still not doing anything. So I'm gonna let this finish up, and then I'm gonna grab my pan. I'm actually gonna use 2 pans because this makes plenty, and I want it to be a thinner layer, so it cooks up quicker. And I also am gonna leave one smaller pan home for my husband and my daughter, my 14-year-old, because they're not coming tomorrow. And yes, it is a mother-daughter thing, but it's me and my 2 cousins and our moms. Sadly, one of my aunts just passed away recently, but we're still having the get-togethers, which I love because I feel like the time we can just be together around the holidays. This will probably be the hardest year for my cousin without her mom, and or one of the first is always the hardest, I think, is how people feel. And then my other cousin lost her father recently, but I'm the only girl out of the cousins that had a daughter or had children, so we probably won't continue it after my generation, but we're the first generation to start it in general anyways. So I'm going to grab my pan, get it buttered, and then I'm going to pour this in. Okay, so I have 2 pans, smaller one for my husband and child, and then a bigger one that I'm bringing tomorrow. I'll also bring home any leftovers, but there's very rarely leftovers, even though there's only 5 of us girls now in my family that meet, because they do take some for their spouses. My cousins are the only ones with spouses left. Oh, got right in there. Way to go, me! Alright, so I'm just going to take this off and then pour it in to my 2 pans. Majority in that one, and some of this one. My husband doesn't like to share it with my daughter. Oh, really? Well, that's irritating. So it did not mix fully, so I'm going to actually pour all this back in. Gotta love bloopers. But you can see there's like so much. So clearly my spatula did not get all the way into the bottom. That's unfortunate. Excuse you, sir. Can I help you? Maybe you get your face out of my area since I'm trying to cook. In my cooking area. Sounds weird. That's pretty. That's video worthy. Not really. That's okay. Mess ups happen. Oh, I'm singing so much today. It's very weird. It's all these baby kid movies that I'm forced to watch lately. People are texting me. Wait, get that out of the way. Even though they know I'm recording, they're both still texting me information. Husband and child. Which is fine. You don't stop momming just because you're doing other things. Or wifing. As it may be. As it were. There we go. Now it's all incorporated. Aww. Yeah, whatever. At least it's pajamas. So I'm going to pour this back in here. And then the others, the left. I might move them back and forth if one looks like it's got too much versus the other one. The smaller pot or pan, goodness gracious, will obviously cook quicker. I'm going to put them in the oven for about 20 minutes and then check the smaller one. The larger one will probably take closer to 40 minutes, but I used to all put this in one pan. It was very dense and very heavy. These are a denser treat anyways, just by their nature, but I don't want them to be too thick. So I'm just gonna make sure it's in all four corners, evenly distributed. Actually turned out well for amount, so I'll at least double in size. And then I'm going to just move more with my spatula. And I'm probably going to wipe this down real quick so it doesn't burn to my glass and to my bread tin, actually. Since my other one that I used to use is all rusted on the inside, so it probably needs to be chucked. It's all the knives I've used to cut things. Don't do that on your metal pans. They really do ruin them. I gotta find something else that's silicone, maybe, like a hard silicone that I can cut with that's still thin. Either way, so I'm going to pop these in the oven at 350 for 20 minutes. I'm going to check them with, if you have a toothpick, I would suggest that. I don't normally buy toothpicks. I probably should because I actually bake a lot more now. But I'm going to probably use thermometers because they're still skinny and they'll come out either dry or wet. And that's how I'm going to check to see if they're done. I'm not even going to check this one after the first 20 minutes unless it's looking done. And I'll come back when I have pulled it out to show you how it looks freshly out of the oven. And then I will make the toppings or the frosting, and then I will wait until it completely cools before I frost it. So see you shortly. Okay, so I just pulled them out of the oven. This one and this one, actually, they both were in for the same amount of time, and they're both completely done. You can see the little tester hole from one of our thermometers that we actually don't use anymore. So I've decided today to repurpose it for my cake testing. They both came away clean, and they both had the slight push. You can see that this is actually falling a little bit. I don't know if you can see that, but it looks like it is to me from my angle. So probably could have gone in for another minute or two, but honestly, they both came away clean. They both have a nice toasted edge. I don't know that you can see that. From this angle here, you can kind of see it here. But the better angle to get for the, you can see here is brown and perfectly toasted. So I'm going to let them cool completely while I go hang out with my baby. Yes, I know it's like 7:41. She goes to bed really early. But in case she wakes up again, I'd like to make sure she knows I'm there so she doesn't keep freaking out and to keep my husband awake. So I'm going to wait until these cool completely. So I'm going to come down in probably about a half hour and touch test them, see if they're warm, and then I will make the icing and frost them right then. See you soon. Okay, so it's been a half hour. They're still not completely cold. They're not completely cooled off. But I'm gonna start making the top or the frosting now, anyways, because I'm starting to get tired. It's been kind of a long day, and I would like to get it done and frosted. So I softened up my cream cheese and my half a stick of butter. This is my fresh made butter. I do have a video of that on my channel if you are interested in watching that. It's really easy to make. So it's half a stick of butter, a whole 8-ounce pack of cream cheese. I will need 1 teaspoon of vanilla, which actually I think I put away the teaspoon, so I'll have to use some smaller ones. Boop. So loud. So I'll use a half teaspoon. So I'm also going to be making a video coming up about how to make vanilla extract from scratch, because vanilla extract is really expensive in my opinion for something that you use in a lot of baking. So the fact that I don't drink alcohol made it weird going to a liquor store today to grab a liter of vodka. I'm going to use it all or toss it, or maybe give it to one of my cousins because they both drink. But for my purposes, I will be making vanilla extract. I'll be starting it. It's 6 months to a year long is the process for it to ferment and basically the flavor to come in. And I plan on doing it for Christmas gifts for next year. So I'm going to do an initial video and probably like a 6-month follow-up, quick one, maybe a short for that. And then the year I will strain it and package it on video as well. As long as I'm still doing these videos in a year. So, and then a half a package of powdered sugar. So I don't measure that. I literally just, I'm going to squeeze it and dump it in. I have made this recipe a lot in the last few years, and not once have I ever measured. Because it is a 2-pound bag, you could technically measure it with a pound and do it that way. That would work fine, and you would get great results every time, but I eyeball it and it seems to work just as well for me. I probably should have used a mixer for this, but all my stuff is dirty. Actually not. I think I'm going to use it. I did clean the stuff that I used earlier. It'll just go quicker if I use the mixer. We're going to move her over here again. I just put it away and transfer everything into here. Hopefully without spilling too much. My husband will be so mad. All the stuff that I'm dirty. I did clean some stuff though. Oh goodness. Little powdered sugar on the counter. Not too bad. Scrape the bottom. Or butter. Or vanilla or something else. Just want all of that in here. Since that's the important bits for the flavor. I always do this not to be too loud because my dogs will bark and they're Bubba baby. Seriously? Come out quicker. Apparently I really am in a singing mood. Why? Very weird. Just gonna push it through with my fingers. Then I'm gonna get time to try to slightly slap it over and over on my bowl. Okay. That works. All right, so I'm gonna pop this baby back in here. And I'm gonna stick this in. Walking you through it for some reason. And then I'm just gonna blend it. It'll blend better than I can with that. I don't think I've ever actually done it by hand for this recipe. It's too many things. Butter is too hard to incorporate when it's just softened. Especially in smaller bowls. This gets everywhere. I also plan to do a video on making powdered sugar from scratch, as well as some other pantry mixes that I often use, like brown sugar. I might use the same one, but I'm going to wait until I'm completely out of both products that I purchased from the store. Just slowly lowering it so I can get the frosting off the stirrer. Whisk. Right, I'm just gonna use this one just to make sure I got everything from the bottom. Nothing worse than biting into something sweet and getting a chunk of butter. Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of worse things, but it's disgusting either way. Okay. So I'm going to wait for this to cool a little bit further down, and then I am going to frost it. And then I'll just put it in the fridge overnight, which I will show you what it looks like when it's fully frosted in a moment. All right, so they're not going to win a fair for being beautiful. They're not the prettiest pig, but because they're still warm when I frosted them, they lifted some of the top of the pumpkin. So you can see little pieces of the pumpkin bread spread throughout the frosting because I'm impatient and I don't want to wait any longer. Maybe because I'm tired and I want to go lay down. So I'm going to cover these with aluminum foil, cut them in the morning, and then my husband will probably eat this before I even leave for my get together in the afternoon. And then I'll bring back, if anything is left, I will bring back from there. But she looks pretty. Nice and orange. More brown. Thank you for joining. Subscribe, comment, like, and ask questions if you have any questions, or give suggestions if you have pumpkin recipes that you have a go-to for dessert. I am open to trying new things. We just really like this one, which is why it is a year-round thing, but it'd be nice to kind of swap it out every once in a while, even if there's some savory pumpkin dishes that are delicious. I wouldn't mind trying them. I do actually really like pumpkin, just really hate pumpkin pie. Again, thank you for joining us. See you next time.